Yeah, when I first met Vince, I'd just been pulled out of a pretty hectic situation down at Alamany High School, and I was hired at Little Rock High School, and Vince was the offensive coordinator, and we had a great group of coaches there, and Vince, when I first got there, I heard Steve talk about Vinny's intelligence factor. I was very intimidated by his intelligence. And I'd been a head coach. Vinny hadn't been a head coach yet. And he accepted me into the fold with the rest of the coaching staff there, Coach Henderson, who I had coached with at Alamany High School. But Vinny and I got together, and Vinny at that point was coaching for another great friend of ours who we lost a few years ago, Coach Bauer. And Coach Bauer had pretty much let Vinny take over the offense, but it was always banging heads with Coach Bauer because Coach Bauer was one of the old-fashioned coaches that talked about when you threw the ball, 3 things could happen and 2 of them were bad. Well, Vinny told Coach Bauer that, yeah, but the one thing good can happen, there's about 5 positive things that can go along with that. So he taught Coach Bauer into expanding the passing game. And I just kind of sat back and watched and listened. And it came to the point where Vinny would talk to me and ask me my opinion and what I thought. And I was just amazed at the knowledge that the man had of the game. And I've been around some pretty good coaches in my time. Well, that first year we did pretty good. We went to the playoffs, and I think we lost to Ayala High School in the first round. It was a good season. They'd been to the playoffs, I think the year before that as well. And the second year was the 98 season. And that was the year that, and we had a great coaching staff, Coach Lunenberg, Coach Henderson, Coach Kyman, Coach Hagry, myself, Vinny, Coach Bauer, Coach McLeod. It was a great coach. It was probably, as a conglomerate of high school coaches, probably the best staff that I've ever been around. And it was a magical season for Little Rock High School. We went 10-0, undefeated. Won the Golden League for the first and only time in Little Rock High School history. And obviously we were pretty excited after the game, and every week Coach Kyman was kind of the social engineer, decided whose house we were going to after each win that year, and it kind of became a tradition. And I don't even remember whose house we went to. All I remember was we had to be up early because we took the team picture the next day. And the team picture, I think, was about 8 o'clock in the morning. We're all standing around out on the practice field at Little Rock High School. Coaches are there, players are in uniform. Where's Vinny? Vinny got very, very excited Friday night. And it finally came to where we had to take the picture. Now, this was before Photoshop. So, the one and only championship in the history of Little Rock High School, which Coach LaPerry was probably one of the biggest cogs in the wheel, wasn't there for the damn picture. I still have it in my room at Quartz Hill High School. And there's a big void in that picture. The void has become bigger over the last couple of weeks. My other story for Coach LaPerry was we played Roseman High School over at Quartz Hill. Jesus talked about the 2006-07 season. I'll get to that. But the 2005-06 season, we played a heck of a football game against Roseman High School at Quartz Hill High School. We won on a last-second miracle play that, people are patting me on the back. I didn't do anything. These kids did it all. And we won that game. And Vinny was I could tell after the game he was devastated. And he gave me a big hug and he said, well, if I got to get beat, I want to get beat by you. Roll the clock forward to the 06-07 season that Jesus was referring to. Right out here. And that's the year that Vinny took over the defense. When I knew that we were playing Rosamond, and Vinny was the defensive coordinator, and I was the offensive coordinator for Quartz Hill, I don't think I slept all week because I knew he was going to outthink me, he was going to outcoach me. I had so much respect for his ability that it was a very difficult game. It reminded me of when I left Little Rock High School and had to coach against Coach Bauer. It's just, it's a very hard thing in coaching. For you coaches out there, you know what I'm talking about. And I'll never forget the play that actually won the game. And Vinny stuffed us. He knew that our quarterback was not a very good thrower. He put 8 guys in the box, and we couldn't run the ball. We couldn't throw the ball. And still we were in the game just because I think we had a little bit more depth. But the last thing that happened was they threw a little sideline pass right out here. And we knew it was coming. Our cornerback knew it was coming. He missed the tackle, and I forget the kid's name. I believe he was number 1. He took off down the sideline. And once he got, and this was on their own 10-yard line, Rosamond was. Once he got to me, and I was standing on about the 30, I kind of looked down the sideline one way to make sure there weren't any flags, because that's what you do. Sometimes hoping there isn't, sometimes hoping there is. No flags. And I looked down, it was over. I looked across the field. And you guys that know the Vinny Shuffle. He was going down the sideline with, now Coach LaPerry was a great athlete, before his ankle injury, and as their kid's going down the sideline to score the winning touchdown, I'm watching him go down the sideline, and Coach couldn't jump over a credit card at this point in his life. But he got 3 feet off the ground, waving his hands in the air. And I was so mad at him. You think they just won the Super Bowl. And you know what? For Coach Lipari at that point, it was a great accomplishment for the Rosamond High School football team. It was a great accomplishment for Coach LaPerry. He did what I knew he would do. He outcoached me that night. But after the game, I walked up to him and said, if I got to get beat, I want to get beat by you. We had a lot of other stories together. I was honored that Steph asked me to speak and share a few things. Vince had a lot of good things happen to him in his life. Stephanie, you're the best thing that happened to him in his life. Jesus talked about that. Coach Ramos talked about that. You were the best thing that happened to him. You sure brought in sickness and in health to an entirely different level. And those of us that knew Vince, even before you, are very grateful for that. Those of you that were taught by Coach Lipari, consider yourselves lucky. Those of you that coached with Coach Lipari, including myself, consider yourselves lucky. Those of you that played for Coach Lipari, consider yourselves lucky. He was a good man with a good heart. He always tried to set a good example for the kids that he coached and the coaches that he coached with. I'll miss him a lot.